In China, everything can become bizarre, like clothing tags. Look, some are as big as an A4 sheet of paper, some aren't just a single tag but a bundle. Some have unusually outstanding colors, some have repeated words, no returns or exchanges without the tag, and some clothes even have locks attached. What happened? Why is this? In this episode, let's take a look at China's freeloaders, or you can call them leeches. There are always those who want to obtain goods, services, resources, or the fruits of labor without spending money, paying fees, or providing any consideration. China's clothing industry is a major victim. This video was taken in July of this year. Do you notice this woman at a restaurant wearing clothes with tags still attached? This suggests the woman might wear the clothes for a while, then request a refund from the e-commerce platform and return them. How long she'll wear them before returning them is uncertain. On the streets of China, more and more people are seen wearing new clothes with tags still attached, showing no shame whatsoever. This was last December in a very cold tourist area in northeast China where a girl's clothing still had its tags on. After seeing the tag, someone sent a message to the seller. "Boss, is this your clothing? I saw it in Moher. It still has the tag on. The tag hasn't been removed. I guess she's going to return it without a reason after her trip to Moher." Chinese e-commerce platforms have extremely lenient return policies, leading to an increasing number of consumers buying clothes and returning them after wearing them for 7 days or more, with no need to pay a penny. So merchants have to make the clothing tags or labels bigger and bigger, emphasizing that once cut off, they can't be returned. But when everyone in China thinks wearing clothing tags is a smart thing, no matter how big the tags are, it's useless. Look, these people on beach vacations, letting their tags flutter in the sea breeze. Walking on the beach, the large tags under the long dress don't affect her stroll or the stares of others. At the bustling airport, the fashionable girl's outfit is neat. She doesn't care at all about the attention she has attached with large tags hanging from her clothes. Just like the popular Chinese saying, "As long as I don't feel embarrassed, it's others who are embarrassed." If you think this kind of behavior is limited to tourism, you're too simple. There are countless occasions in a person's life when they need to wear nice, appropriate clothes. And what's worse, the return period on Chinese e-commerce platforms isn't just 7 days, it's not even 30 days, it's unbelievably long. Let's look at the tragic experience of a clothing business owner in Guangdong. Mid-May of this year was the time for the Chinese teacher qualification interviews. For many young people, it's an important life exam, so they specifically buy professional formal attire, hoping to make a good impression on interviewers. As a result, merchants on Chinese e-commerce platforms specializing in interview formal attire suddenly experienced an unusual wave of returns. Most of these return clothes were clearly worn. The original tags were even removed, the collars and cuffs showed yellowing, and the clothes retained the smell of sweat and perfume, making them basically unsellable. On May 19th, a Pinduoduo merchant in Guangdong posted that after the teacher qualification exam, she received more than 300 return pieces of clothing. The return addresses were mostly from universities and vocational schools. The seller said, "I'm currently stuck with a room full of defective goods that can't be resold, and my shop is practically going bankrupt." Netizens commented, "Can someone like this still be a teacher?" and suggested the seller use huge tags to prevent malicious returns. The seller replied, "I've been doing that for a while, but it's completely useless." On the Pinduoduo platform, even clothes worn for a year can be returned unconditionally. They return identical items even after disassembly, and the platform refunds extremely quickly. By the time we receive the clothes, the money has already been refunded by the platform. Now, looking at the pile of clothes, I can't eat or sleep. The whole family is stressed. Even clothes worn for a year are still unconditionally refunded on Pinduoduo. Chinese media outlet Lichi News also reported on this matter on May 21st. The shop owner, Miss Cao, runs 2 small online stores mainly sourcing goods from factories and selling them online. Currently, she has received over 400 returns, with more than 30 being refund-only orders, meaning customers receive refunds without having to return the clothing. Due to difficulties in providing evidence online, the system struggled to identify odors and signs of wear on the clothes, preventing them from successfully appealing. Currently, almost all the returned clothes are piling up at her home, unsellable. Miss Cao estimates her losses at approximately 40,000 to 50,000 RMB, or about $7,500 USD. Furthermore, she added shipping insurance to the items, but many buyers still chose to return them themselves. This allowed buyers to fill in the shopping costs themselves, and the e-commerce platform would directly refund the shipping fee to the buyer, while the seller actually paid for it. Buyers who gave the seller positive reviews could also receive a cash rebate. In this process, buyers not only received clothes for free for several days, but also earned a small amount of pocket money. Of course, this cash rebate was also actually paid by the seller. These individuals who are likely to become teachers designed the process from the outset. First, buy interview clothes. After wearing them to the interview, give the seller a positive review to receive some cash back. Then, immediately apply for a refund in return. They didn't even think there was anything wrong with what they were doing. On the X platform, a netizen wrote, "When I was taking the teacher qualification exam back then, I specifically bought leather shoes and a suit. I only wore them once and I didn't return them. I just left them at home. If you return them after one day of use, isn't that like getting something for free?" Yes, some overseas Chinese were shocked. Teachers back in China were called engineers of the human soul. How could they so openly do such unethical things? How can they educate their students? In fact, many university and high school teachers in China are already quite adept at exploiting e-commerce platform policies to benefit themselves at the expense of merchants. Look, these are teachers from Guangxi Normal University rehearsing a dance. They dance until they're drenched in sweat, wearing their clothes until they're smelly before taking them off. They have no psychological barriers. This is a video from 2024. It's unclear which school students were organized to film a program supposedly for national television. The students are energetic and smiling. However, observant viewers notice that some students' clothing tags were still attached. It's estimated that after the event, some unfortunate merchant would receive a batch of return items soaked in sweat. Let's look at this summer's college entrance examination. In recent years, teachers and parents have liked to wear Cheongsams during the exam period. This is because in Chinese, the pronunciation of Cheongsam is homophonious with victory. However, as soon as the exam ended, a large number of Cheongsam return requests flooded the system. These returned Cheongsams were particularly unusual. The tags were intact and they appeared brand new, but upon opening them, a pungent smell of sweat filled the air. Large patches of sweat stains were clearly visible on the fabric under the armpits and on the back, some even slightly yellowed, and felt sticky and stiff to the touch. The collars were covered in a mixture of foundation, lipstick, and sunscreen stains, the yellowish-white marks particularly noticeable. Several online Cheongsam shop owners revealed through photos that the return rate of their Cheongsams after the college entrance examination soared to around 90%. One merchant shared specific data. Of the more than 400 Cheongsams sold for the college entrance examination, over 380 were returned after the exam. Chinese media quoted Mr. Wang, a Cheongsam online shop owner in Zhejiang province, as saying that he opens dozens of return packages every day, often wincing at the stench upon opening them, making them impossible to resell as brand new items. Teachers and parents across the country have developed a mature operating procedure. Order a new Cheongsam, keep the tags intact and the packaging undamaged, wear it to the exam, take photos, complete the ceremony, and immediately apply for a full refund. Perfectly utilizing the rules, the college entrance exam send-off ceremony is completed at zero cost. It can be said that in the minds of morally upright people, this is considered a form of freeloading or even worse. However, under the deliberate guidance of the CCP, the morality of the Chinese people is declining rapidly. Many people don't even consider this a form of freeloading or leeching, or think that such words have any negative connotation. To deal with those freeloaders who buy clothes, wear them for a while, and then return them within several days without reason, merchants have reluctantly introduced giant tags. Merchants think these tags are the size of an A4 sheet of paper, made of tough material, difficult to remove, and hanging on your chest is like carrying a disciplinary badge, making it impossible to wear them out. As retailers increasingly enlarge their clothing tags, what voices have emerged on Chinese social media? Rejecting tag shame. The sentiment is particularly strong on Xiaohongshu, Little Red Book. The logic behind this group's counterattacks is, retailers using large tags are targeting women, therefore we must resist and we must flaunt our tags in public. This is like someone sneaking into a supermarket to steal something, but the supermarket has installed security locks and that shouts, "You're discriminating against me, but I'm going to steal anyway." Look, their slogan is, reject tag shame, wear it boldly in public, be yourself. Some are shouting, "Reject tag shame, starting with me." Someone even provocatively wrote, "I hope merchants can make tags more attractive, making them a decoration, a trend. I also urge everyone to wear clothes with tags and reject tag shame. It should be our collective effort." Influenced by such slogans, many girls are not ashamed, but rather proud. One netizen uploaded a picture saying he saw a woman with 5 tags on her, not only her top and pants, but also her bags and hat. Look, young girls on stage, letting the tags dance. She and her friends don't seem to think there's anything wrong with it. It's no big deal. Merchants are racking their brains to find ways to outsmart these female customers. Some merchants think, "You want to project an image of independent, modern women, so I'll write sentences on the tags to make you afraid to wear them out." Thus, some tags bear sentences like, "I am allured by men, I love men, I am allured by men, I love men." Can these techniques repel the ever-growing group of freeloaders? I can guarantee you, no. Why? Because their real opponent isn't a group of consumers, but a regime. We have repeatedly stated that the CCP is an evil spirit that hates the Chinese people. Its methods of destroying the Chinese people go beyond simply making their lives miserable. More importantly, it attempts to fundamentally alter their thinking, causing their morality to decline at an alarming rate. During the Cultural Revolution, the CCP explicitly proclaimed the slogan, "Reform people." If the Reformation before the 1980s involved brutal campaigns, the reform after the reform and opening up involved temptations. Thousands of years of traditional Chinese culture hold that humanity was created by God, and that human society needs to maintain certain moral standards. If human morality declines to the point where God no longer considers humanity worthy of salvation, then that society and civilization are in grave danger. God only saves good and virtuous lives. Therefore, traditional Chinese culture emphasizes the concept, do not do evil even if it is small, and do not neglect good even if it's small. However, the CCP is here to eliminate Chinese morality and traditional culture. This is a fundamental reason why China's e-commerce giants are allowed to impose outrageous rules. These rules amplify the greed of ordinary Chinese consumers, encouraging the entire society to exploit loopholes and leading to moral decay. Meanwhile, the CCP's laws and courts offer no protection or assistance to ordinary merchants. When faced with such exploitation, most merchants lack the energy and resources to litigate. They have no way to resolve their grievances through legal channels. Therefore, these victims have no recourse but to struggle on, with no other means to overcome their predicament. As a totalitarian government, the CCP could easily manage this unfair and chaotic market if it wanted to. With a single order, e-commerce platforms could implement fairer rules within a day. However, the CCP government will not do so. Previously, Chinese e-commerce platforms introduced even more outrageous rules. Refund only. Pinduoduo pioneered this rule in 2021. From 2023 onwards, major e-commerce platforms such as Douyin, Taobao, JD.com, and Kuaishou successively introduced the refund-only function. This rule allows buyers to initiate a refund request without providing necessary evidence. The platform will proactively intervene, issuing refunds without the merchant's consent, and the goods do not need to be returned after the refund. Incredibly, without the merchant's knowledge, Chinese e-commerce platforms pop up official messages reminding buyers to choose refund only. Merchants not only cannot see this interface, but may even be banned from posting. This has led to the emergence of freeloaders who deliberately buy large quantities of products, then use various excuses to apply for a refund only after the merchant ships the goods, ultimately obtaining the goods at zero cost. More and more Chinese people are being led astray to seek personal gain at the expense of others, completely disregarding integrity and trust. On the Chinese internet, many self-media accounts have created courses specifically for this purpose, teaching consumers how to exploit the refund-only rule to obtain greater benefits from merchants at no cost. Newcomers typically need to pay to join a group with prices ranging from $4 to $45. The group admin teaches how to get something for free by complaining about merchants and exploiting shipping time differences. The course even details how to handle customer service calls. In the following video, the blogger shares his experience for free. Today, I'll teach you a method to exploit merchants on the Pinduoduo platform. It's very effective and works every time. First, after receiving the goods, send a picture to the seller saying you received them. Then wait for the seller's reply. Next, find a reason to point out the product's shortcomings or say something unexpected happened during use. The seller will likely give a perfunctory reply, then emotionally criticize the seller. This will trigger the platform's refund-only mechanism. In a network where saying Winnie the Pooh is bad could get your social media account wiped out, the fact that such courses can spring up like mushrooms after rain without any risk of being deleted reveals the CCP's true mentality. Although Chinese e-commerce platforms claim to have made some adjustments to the refund-only mechanism by 2025, in actual operation, the road for the vast majority of vulnerable merchants to protect their rights remains very long. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.